Well, welcome to Soar and Pair, Why Not Together?
Welcome. Hi, guys.
Welcome to episode 21. And of course, just to remind you, Soar and Pair is soaring together to explore new adventures while inspiring others to create their own.
I'm still giggling.
We were getting ready to start, and I hit play, and she said, "No, I don't feel like doing it. I don't have my glasses." That was our
Our intro. Yeah.
first take. So we just thought we'd share it with you, as you know.
Yeah. It's like being in church. I always get the giggles when I shouldn't.
Yeah, you used to do that a lot, didn't
I
you?
did.
And you get in trouble a lot.
Yes, but my grandfather used to make me laugh on purpose to get me in trouble. Yeah, he was a lot of fun, but it backfired because we both end up in trouble.
I'm sure you didn't make any friends with the nuns either with that.
No.
No, but today we're going to talk about not forcing anything to happen before it's time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll be an interesting subject to talk about.
I do too. I think we've all been there.
But don't force it. Oh, wait.
Okay. Wait.
Wait. So let's talk a little bit about our week, because as we promised, we're just sharing our lives with you, not all the nitty-gritty details that
They don't want to know all the details.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring, to be honest.
Although I will show them this detail here.
Yeah.
And what I'm showing are two bloody knuckles. We were doing yard work earlier today after swimming in the pool. It was very hot outside.
Yeah, very hot.
I was pulling some grass around the rose bushes that we're so desperately trying to keep alive. And note to self, don't ever pull a very, very strong root in the ground with your hand next to with a brick wall. I mean, I pulled it out and it just scraped the top layer of the skin off. So
Gave me chills. Yeah, it looks pretty bad.
Scars from yard work.
Yeah, you were supposed to tell them that you got it in a bar fight.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
My second bar fight in a month.
That's so believable. Yeah.
Yeah, the only bar I would be fighting is like the bar I'm raising to myself. So there you go.
There you go.
But no, this week also, yesterday was kind of cool because we have two granddaughters.
Mm-hmm.
So Everly is a little over 2.5. That's Shay's daughter.
Yeah.
And then Lily just turned 7 on last Wednesday. It's our other granddaughter.
Yeah.
So I was down in Casa Grande with Lily,
Mm-hmm.
and
I was here with Everly.
And you were here with Everly.
Yeah,
So we
it was fun.
It was a lot of fun. We enjoyed our
I
granddaughters.
would have loved to have seen Lily, but it just didn't work out that way. So I got to see her on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got a lot of clothes for her 7th birthday.
Yes.
So
She's.
courtesy of Grandma and Grandpa.
I love shopping for little girls. It's just so fun.
Yeah, I had to actually stop you because it was really getting out of control.
Yeah. I'm weak.
We won't even talk about the bill,
Don't
but
even go there.
no, it's a lot of fun to spoil grandkids. I think any grandparent would absolutely agree with us. So that
Totally.
was cool. But as far as music goes for me, this last week I think I said on the last episode that I would be posting the video with Grant Baltasar, that young violinist playing Chopin Nocturne with me on the Grand, and posted it. A lot of people commented, and it just came across so beautifully.
Yeah, he's a wonderful musician and a great kid.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the world of him.
Yeah, and I just really enjoy performing with him, and hope to do more and more of that.
Yeah.
He's just a really sharp
Absolutely.
and talented violinist. So that's posted on a YouTube channel, so you can go check it out if you haven't, or on our Facebook page. And then the other thing I'll be doing this coming week is I'll be performing digitally for a church this next week. So
You've done this every year, haven't you? About once a year.
With Presbyterian Church, yes. So a church down in Cache Grande area has asked me to perform, and so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
That'll be
Nice.
do an original song, do a traditional song. It'll be
And
good.
everything's digital because of COVID.
Yeah, so they're having service taped, I think, the day before.
Gotcha.
So
So strange.
it is. I think churches have never. I don't think we've ever seen this ever, where churches some do have in person, but they have to social distance and they can't
So weird.
socialize. I mean, the whole purpose to me of a church is
Yeah. Congregating.
before and after the service. And I was talking to someone else in another church that said, yep, everybody has to leave like last row first and nobody can stay around and visit and all these rules. It's like, why bother?
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, why we don't see any social events
Yeah.
going
Exactly.
on or any
Exactly.
concerts.
I've actually had patients who have told me the same thing, that they thought they were okay and they went to church and then they were so worried that they may have gotten their congregation sick. So, yeah, I think my point is I think the digital is a good idea right now.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, school's getting ready to start in this part of the country, and that's another challenge, too.
It is. It is. It's. I know it's really challenging for people with young kids trying to figure out daycare and
Right.
school, and just I'm very grateful our kids are past that.
Yeah, but they're. So Lily is 7, so you'd be going to, I think, second grade. I should know this, first grade.
First grade.
However, you know, she's going to be part-time at home, part-time at school.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's just so many variations out there right
It's
now.
challenging too because to me, I think the social aspect is so critical for kids. It's part of their development.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's important. I'm glad she's going a few days a week, at least, you know,
Right, but they also have to be cautious because,
of course.
so that's the balance, that's the challenge going on right now, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
work and school. So,
It is. And what about you, your week?
my week, more of the same this week. I've been doing readings and energy work online and have had some really good sessions this week. It's been good. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I can tell she gets very amped up afterwards.
I do. I get energized from it, and afterwards, I just feel like I'm kind of floating on a cloud. It's a good thing. We both benefit from
And
it.
some of the feedback you've gotten from people, if you don't mind me inserting this here, is people have told you that after a session with you, they feel what?
Light. That they feel very light. Just being in the session, that they feel like their energy has lifted, and that's a huge compliment to me. Just because even though it's not about me, it's about the energy coming through me. But it's good because it means that they're feeling it even over the phone, and they're just lightening their load and moving forward, which is healing.
Yeah, and to me, that lightening the load is really what it's all about.
Right.
And I feel like for me, when I can hang around somebody or spend some time and feel better than I did when I left, feel lighter.
Yeah.
Because I think all of us could agree that right now is a very heavy time. Everybody feels the weight of, you know, the fear out
Exactly.
there, you know, the sickness that's going on, the stress, the financial,
Yes.
um,
All of it just is like
burdens.
another brick on your shoulders.
right.
Right.
And that kind of feeling of heaviness it's permeating everywhere. I mean, you walk around with masks on and, you know, it's hard to see people smile.
Yeah, a lot of change has come from this. A lot of people I've noticed have decided to take up the opportunity of this time to either change their career or change something about their lives, and it's interesting to see what's being born from this. So,
Well, and if you think about it, our YouTube channel podcast kind of started way back at the beginning of this, which is
Yeah, we were going to do it, and then we were like, you know what, we're doing it anyway.
yeah,
Yeah.
21 episodes ago, 20 weeks ago. That's
Yeah.
we haven't missed a week yet. So if you're following us,
Knock on wood.
we may get it out really late Sunday night, but
Sometimes.
we continue to do this every week, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great way for us to at least give our perspective of
Mhm.
how we are navigating through this,
Exactly.
as well as our friends, as well as what we see in the world. It's just one couple's opinion.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to watch how, I don't think you and I could have even imagined in March that we would still be talking about, the COVID-19
No.
problems and issues. I think everybody thought by summer this would go away.
Hmm. Yeah. Everybody thought it would burn off with the heat.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
No, so it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the year unfolds.
It will.
And we really have to go with the flow,
Hmm.
which is really going into our topic, which is all about trying not to force things to happen.
Hmm. Yeah. Tell me about a situation for you, and then I'll share mine.
So, I'm glad you asked me that question.
Do tell,
It wasn't a planted question. It was a very
Not at
natural,
all.
because we don't want to force any questions out, right?
That's funny.
So,
Loosely laid plans is what they are.
yes, they are. But yeah, when it comes to writing music or creating anything, I really feel like this is, but from my experience of writing music, I have found that it's when the music grabs me, not when I'm reaching out trying to make it happen.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is when the idea hits me like a lightning bolt, when it really pings on the deepest level, and it grabs me and literally has me in its delightful grip.
Yeah.
That's when I think the most powerful creative moments occur. And the last song that I wrote, Rise and Shine, it literally grabbed me.
Literally.
Literally.
I've seen that though. I know what you're talking about. We've mentioned before that you get a certain look. I can see it on you.
Right, and the way I've described it, there was this tug on my heart, and what I mean by that, not literally my physical heart, but it's like my soul is pulled, and I almost don't. Of course, you always have a choice, but I don't have a choice because I just like I just have this overwhelming need to finish it.
I keep yawning. Sorry.
So apparently I'm already boring Sandy.
No, it's been a long day in the sun.
It is, and I'm expecting you yawn too, so
Mhm.
I get one now.
Totally.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we were out in the sun a long time today. It was
Yeah.
it was 110, I think, at least, and we were both in the pool in the yard. So
Yeah.
I will give you that one.
Thank you.
But and I wouldn't want you to force the yawn not to happen.
No.
No, it's all good. Like, we don't edit anything out, as you can tell. But getting back to the fact that, and I think everybody has experienced this, when you have this overwhelming desire to just finish or to allow something to come through you, and that's the best way I can describe it. And when it's really, really strong, it happens quickly. That last song happened, probably the whole thing happened under 30 minutes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's longer, but I mean, just
But how does that's how it happened organically. I was asking, how does it, give me an example of when you've tried to force it.
oh, see, I got to the organic, and I didn't even listen to the question.
Yeah.
So, in contrast then to it happening organically, well, when I've tried to, okay, I'm gonna write a song, and it needs to be about this, and I feel this kind of pressure. it just, what I find myself doing is going in loops and just kind of getting frustrated because music can come out of me, but it just doesn't feel, it doesn't,
It's not as smooth or. Mhm.
just, I really feel like I hit a brick wall again
Yeah.
and again and again. And not only has that happened with songs, but I've also experienced myself wanting to force my music career to happen before its time.
Yeah.
So I think I've talked about this before in previous episodes, but when I went to the ASCAP conference in Hollywood 5 years ago, stay with me.
I'm so sorry. The more I try not to.
If she falls asleep while I'm talking, we'll talk about how, you shouldn't force yourself to stay awake when you're tired.
The more I try not to, the more I will. So sorry, it's not you.
It's not you, it's me. I like that.
Yeah.
So 5 years ago in Hollywood, I felt myself wanting to, someone's gonna discover me. I'm gonna make it, and just this almost air of desperation.
I'm getting older. Oh no.
Yeah, and
Right.
I just felt this overwhelming, why isn't this happening? It was more of a depressing feeling instead of like, hey, I'm here, this is a great opportunity, let's see what's happened. So I just had these super high expectations instead of just relaxing and enjoying. There was at times, but overall, I was disappointed because I didn't have that moment that I was hoping to have with,
Right.
meeting the right person or having that moment of discovery that I think every musician dreams of. It just doesn't happen when you have 1,000 songwriters from every genre and every place in the world,
Right.
coming down. You just,
Right.
It's
a 1 in a million.
again, not
Literally.
trying to force the envelope, but just allowing me to be me and seeing what happens and being okay with it.
Mhm.
So there's finally, I answered your question. I know it took me a while, took 2 yawns and everything else, but yeah. So not trying to force that before it's time.
Yeah.
I think for me. So what about you?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of different. Shut up.
Okay, that was a forced yawn.
Yeah.
All right, I got you back at least one time.
Anyway, there's multiple examples. I mean, I'm sure any of us can have multiple examples where we've tried to force things, right?
Mm-hmm.
One that comes to mind for me is with the business I'm doing now. I had thought about this and wanted to do it back when I started nursing school years ago, 20 years ago. But the timing wasn't right. It just wasn't. I had my kids to take care of, I had other things going on, and it also wasn't the right time for me. And I've kind of dipped my toe in the water multiple times since then, and now that the time's right, it's coming through easily. It was always there, but it just wasn't the right time. So I think that's a really good example of what we're talking about. Even if it's there and you can see it and feel it, pick it up, move it around, it doesn't mean it's the right time to use it. Right?
So by not trying to force something, does that mean you shouldn't make any effort?
Of course not. And that's the thing, is anything worth having, you have to put some elbow grease into. You got to put yourself into it and do the work. It doesn't mean you just kick back and wait for everything to come to you, because that's just not realistic.
No, it isn't.
No matter what you're talking about, right?
Right, and I think what's interesting is, let's talk about relationships for a minute and forcing relationships.
Let's.
I'm curious as to why you got excited about that.
Because I was thinking of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is not an example of forcing, right?
No. It came easily.
No, and so I bet every one of us could look back on a situation where we were with somebody, but we were trying to make it work and it didn't really work.
Yeah.
And really, what it comes down to is, I think when you're trying to force something, you're trying to manipulate what's in front of you to make it work.
Mm. Yeah, out of obligation or commitment or manipulation. Regardless, it just doesn't fit, and you end up feeling unfulfilled and kind of empty at the end of the day with it, because it's just not organic and right.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It does leave you with that kind of empty feeling. And even if you manipulate and trick the situation to go exactly your way, it hasn't naturally come to you, so it just doesn't feel right in the end.
Mm-hmm. The payoff isn't the same. It's probably not this huge success that it could have been, right?
Well, when you're with someone that really doesn't want to be with you, think about that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
They're just there because you can't fake that.
No, you
There's
can't.
just that hollow emptiness, and you're there out of obligation. You're forcing it. You're rationalizing. Well, the longer we stay together, the better we'll give you. Or if we buy this house together, or if we go on this vacation together, and there's always
I'll
this.
learn. Yeah.
Yes. Or this person will change if I work with them long enough, and
No, that's a whole different kind of fooling yourself into thinking that will ever work, right?
right. It's just another type of forcing something to happen. A lot of people, I think, just learn to live with that, but there's not that sense of fulfillment. And we're very fortunate. We joke around, but we're very fortunate because things were very, very interesting in the beginning of our relationship, but everything just naturally fell into place.
It really did. Yeah.
And it shouldn't have. If you look at the outside.
I know. And that's the ironic part, is it really shouldn't have. But when you know it's right and it just flows so easily, when it comes to you that easily and everything just clicks into place, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that, because it really 9 years later continues to just flow for us. Yes, there are bumps in the road, but it's the reward, the fulfillment is there.
Yeah.
When you find the right person, and I think that's also true with the right occupation you're looking for, the right career.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When you're a young person and you're
Mhm.
trying to figure out what to do, don't force something.
Right.
Step back and look at the options. I was just talking to Sarah, who's like another daughter to me. So hi, Sarah.
Mhm.
Thank you for watching our
Hi, Sarah.
podcast. But I was talking to Sarah about finding something for a career, you know, and allowing that to unfold naturally, to happen naturally, because you don't want to just work a job your whole life. You want to do something that you enjoy doing. You want to make a good living at it,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to be self-sufficient and independent.
Right. So, what's the best advice, in your opinion, for somebody like Sarah? What do you tell somebody who's looking to figure out what it is they even want to do?
Wow. So you really need to look at all your options and do some digging, because I think a lot of times people feel like, well, that's for somebody else, So I really think the first thing you need to do is open your mind to all possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I advised her to go down to the local workforce office, because there's a national program out there. So this isn't just in Arizona, Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, for adult and youth who have limited financial or have barriers in their life. And this national program that's funded by the federal government, Department of Labor, allows people to finish their high school, to get a certificate, to get a college degree, and gives them the support behind the scenes to do that. And that's all government funded.
Yeah. And my advice, what I would tell somebody would be, get in school, get your basic
Classes.
degree. Yeah, get your basic core classes. And while you're there, what you want to do will come to you.
Right.
Because just being in that environment kind of gets the juices flowing, and as you talk to different people and see the programs that are available, what feeds you will kind of pique your interest, and you can start exploring that way.
Well, and what we were talking about before, without force, what you're looking for will find you naturally.
Yes, and that's what I'm getting at, exactly.
So-
I think it will.
Yes, and so, you know, for Sarah, I think as she opens her mind up, as she looks at her options through that program, what will naturally be best for her will find her,
I agree.
instead
Smart
of just
girl.
staying in the
It'll
same
come
job.
to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely will. So one of my favorite authors is Wayne Dyer.
I love Wayne Dyer.
Yes, and I've read a lot of his books, and there was something that I think relates to this, and he called it, there was a book written, I think, by David Hawkins called Power versus Force.
Mm-hmm.
And power being, you know, the positive nature of things, and force being obviously what we're talking about here. And so there were some really good points in this that I wrote down in my little book here that I thought would be cool to share.
Okay.
So it's a dozen different things that the difference between power and force. And I would say power is like a freedom that you have.
I agree.
So force creates a counterforce, power creates grace. That's the first one. So
Okay.
really, and I think grace to me, just like we were saying, allows things to naturally unfold.
Mm-hmm.
The second point, force is always loud and aggressive. Power is silent, little movement.
Sounds to me like fear versus love.
Is very similar.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go out there and be loud and aggressive and hustle and manipulate if you sit back and you know who you are.
Right.
The third thing, force is always moving against something. Power, again, it doesn't move, it's still. So there doesn't need to be this
Right.
it's
Push and pull kind of thing. Okay.
force is always incomplete and it needs to be fed energy. Power is total and complete. It needs nothing outside itself. So you know who you are.
Yeah.
Force always makes demands. Power has no needs. Force is constantly consuming. It always demands more. It needs more. Power is always content and it makes no demands.
Okay.
Force always takes energy away. Power energizes. It gives forth life energy.
Pretty smart guy, huh?
Yeah. Well,
I love Wayne Dyer.
no, it's really,
Yeah.
really cool. And I think that's interesting because when we're trying to force something, we drain ourselves.
Absolutely. That's what I hear too, is it just sounds exhausting.
And when you're doing your readings, what happens? It energizes you. When
Yeah.
I'm writing a song, energize. When we're
It's because
doing
it comes through me and it energizes me on the way through to the other person.
so, I
we
mean,
both get benefit.
I think a really hint here is something that energizes you and makes you feel fulfilled. That's a really good clue. It's
Exactly.
something you should be doing.
Yeah.
Force is associated with judgment, always feeling badly. Power has compassion, humility, and you feel better.
Nice.
Force always polarizes in a state of conflict. Power unifies a sense of belonging. Boy, don't we see that in the world right now. A lot of things being forced out there.
Yes.
Polarizing, conflict. But instead of thinking how all of us are different, why not look at how we're all the same going through this?
Mm-hmm.
When
Yeah.
they say we can get through this together, that's a very power-oriented statement.
Right.
We can get through this together. Force, the cost is high, it always needs an enemy. Power is free, there's no cost. There's no cost.
Free power.
to-
You heard it
yes.
here.
Two more. Force requires proof and it's argumentative. Power deals with intangibles. There's no proof, you have a knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And
No proofs needed.
No, exactly. You just know something inside you knows that this is the way to go for yourself. And lastly, force is associated with sickness and power, health.
Nice.
So I
That fit.
yeah, I really
It's perfect.
thought so. I know I hadn't read this to her before, so she didn't yawn during it. That's also a really good sign. But I think what we're really getting here too is the one point I think we're driving to is that abstract concept of freedom,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing I know about you, talk about our relationship,
Yes,
forcing you into anything is a mistake.
it is.
She-
You have learned this.
she
You have
bares her
learned
teeth.
well.
She bares her teeth like a rabid animal.
I do.
And she goes, "What are you doing?" No, all joking aside, I mean, not just you, but when you allow somebody to free, you're still laughing about that.
Yes.
Laughing is better than yawning. But when you allow someone the freedom, and I think you and I have talked about this before with ourselves, we're always giving each other space, right?
Yes.
We're giving each other freedom. And why is that so important?
Well, you allow me to be, and there's no forcing involved. It's just an open exchange.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like I can breathe, which is pretty huge. Thank you. No, really, I can breathe, and it's not confining or the push-pull.
Right, and that I think that can be applied to any situation, not just in our relationship, but with a job, with making a decision. Is
Yeah.
when you allow yourself the freedom to be, and you go from a state of conflict to a state of peace.
Hmm. That's a great example, actually, because at my job, it's constant, it's busy, it's high paced, and it's always changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can get like this, very tight and tense. And when I just relax into it and go, okay, all I can do is what's in front of me right now, then my shoulders drop, I can breathe, and things just go.
And at the end of the day, you don't feel like Igor.
Like
from-
Igor. Exactly.
Yeah, that's
No,
very.
that's a great example.
Yeah, it's very true. Also, any kind of stressful job, there's always going to be change. There's always going to be problems that you have to solve.
Right?
And your
No
choice
matter what
is
you do.
to solve it with anxiety and stress, or to solve it in a way from a much calmer perspective. And I think when you're in a calm state, you're able to step back and go, okay, what's the best solution here? Okay, we can't fix this huge problem, but there's something I can do about this
Right.
baby step, this
Yeah.
little one.
Yep.
And you can't
One
fix.
little thing a day.
There's no
Exactly.
perfect job out there, right? There's no perfect relationship. So expecting perfection is always. I know. Sorry, I just burst her bubble.
Yeah, right?
But expecting perfection, I think, in itself causes so much anxiety. And instead of just relaxing and being calm and giving yourself the freedom to just be who you are, mistakes and all.
Yeah.
To say, okay, this is where I'm at in my life, for better or for worse. For better, as I look at you, it's better. As I look in the mirror, it's a little worse.
A little worse than yesterday. But yeah.
So I really feel like, though, that allowing the freedom instead of trying to force and manipulate things with people, with jobs, is really what we're talking about here. I want to close it with a quote. It says, "Don't overthink or force anything. Let everything flow and cultivate organically."
Makes sense to me.
It really does. So
It's a great theory. We just have to remind ourselves to do it. I think we all tend to get stuck in that hamster wheel. So just a good reminder to all of us to just try not to force it, allow it to come.
right, let it flow.
Let it flow. Let it flow.
No, not from. Let's let it go. From that Disney show. We won't
I
talk
think I
about.
got way too much sun today.
Yes. But at least your yawning is you got that out of your system.
Mhm.
But speaking of stuff out of your system, so let's go to a Sandyism.
Okay.
So here it is. Are you picking up where I'm dropping off?
I love that one.
Explain it to the people. Like what?
It means I know what you mean. I'm picking up that thread, that thought. I'm picking up where you're dropping off.
But why am I dropping it off? What if I want to?
Because that's where you dropped the thought, and I picked it up and ran with it.
Oh, and we do it organically, by the way. I will say.
Yes.
So there's
It's
no.
like a relay. Yeah. Pass me that baton.
Yes. The thought. That's what we do back and forth the whole time. So anyway, we want to thank everybody for hanging out with us and chilling
Yeah.
for another week of organic conversation.
It was good to see you all this week.
Of course, it's organic. We don't force anything.
Yeah.
But we do want to remind you, Soren Pair, on the YouTube video, you could see our faces. On the podcast, hearing our voices, we really appreciate that. And also on our podcast land, continue to like us and hear us on all the different platforms.
Yep.
Stitcher, Radio Public, iTunes, Spotify, on all those, CastBox, Google Podcasts. We really appreciate that. And continue, we appreciate the comments on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
Follow us on Soren Pair. Don't forget, the name of Sandy's business page, you're still offering free readings, is?
Is Sandy Sorensen, intuitive counselor and master healer.
So thank you guys. Have a great week.
Thanks.
And we will see you again next week.